Hi, this is Jeff Blauette, and we're back at it this year for our 2025 version of our Field Friday segments. Just kind of wanted to touch base on something that most of us are probably transitioning now. We should be kind of wrapping up corn spraying, hopefully, on most acres. Is it time to spray soybean acres? And I would say in a lot of cases it depends, but we got to remember we had a little unique situation last year when we started talking about the flooding and all the rain damage and drowned out pockets and water damage that we had that disrupted the corn stands as well as the soybean stands. And we saw that probably as you're spraying corn, there were some really dirty pockets from that. But you can see we're out in a field here that was flooded underwater for a little bit last year, and we've got a lot of water hemp coming. You can kind of see, these beans were planted in April, so on the earlier side, and then the burn down herbicide was applied similar. But you'd swear it was a failure. There's a lot of water hemp out here, and the pressure is really increasing. You see a lot more coming up. Some of these have been up for probably a week or two already and are really going to town. But we got to remember what we came out of. If we would go up the hill here a little bit where this isn't, in a flooded background like last year down here, you'd walk around a long time and not see really anything coming. The pre-plant is holding really well, and so that's a different environment. So that's why I say it depends. Is it time to spray beans? In this case, yeah, a week ago it would have been good, but it wasn't practical, and it isn't for a lot of guys. But if we get up the hill, that can maybe wait another week or so. So it just kind of depends on the scenario, and everybody kind of knows, where to look in your fields, when it comes to that. So we can't really blame the pre-plant herbicide for not working here because it just went into a situation where nothing, no matter what you did, was going to work. This had as good of a pre-plant package as we could have, and I'm sure it held a lot of the pressure back. It was just too much for what we had to deal with this year. I say you go up the hill, you'd kind of wonder is there isn't really anywhere spraying yet, because there really isn't a lot coming. So we'd like to let those beans get some more size before we hit them. But so I guess the end of the story is we need to just be aware of what's going on in your fields and what you can do. If you have the ability to spray your own, you might want to spray this 10 acres in the bottom now, and you may have to consider coming back again with a second pass here, right before they flower around that time. As we get up the hill, maybe we can wait with the rest of that field, and there's a lot of fields like this where we can wait a little while yet. But you have to kind of evaluate the situation that you're under. Obviously, commercially, we can't really spot spray. We're going to have to, we could spray the east 20 acres of this field maybe and come back later. But as far as spot spraying, that'd be something that's better done with a farm sprayer or yourself, because then you can decide yes or no. But we know what water hemp does. It gets going, and we've got these 80-degree weather. We've had some moisture. That stuff is really going to grow. Once it starts to get 3-4 inches tall, it'll double in size every few days if we let it. So we need to try and take those out before they get to be too big of trees with too many growing points to kill. Especially in a lot of cases, we're counting on Liberty to knock them out. So I guess I wanted to touch on that. That's the next phase of management that we're going to have to deal with here, and I wanted to make sure that we're on the ball and not letting things get away from us from a weed size perspective. So with that, that's this week's Field Friday segment, and we'll see you next week.